This movie's been quite through a lot throughout production in terms of trying to get itself into theaters, and now that it's finally up, is it well worth the wait? Kinda. World War Z. Now, this movie is a film adaptation of a novel under the same title. And in terms of plot, what happens is Brad Pitt plays this, I'm guessing, scientist military guy who is out, having a normal day, and the zombie apocalypse happens, and he has to evacuate himself and his family to some ship out in the ocean, and then he has to leave and go to certain locations around the world in order to find out exactly where did this outbreak of zombie infections begin, and if there's a cure, and if so, how do we find it, and how do we stop the impending doom of the apocalypse. Now, in terms of zombie films, I have to admit, overall, I really wasn't all that impressed, and I'll tell you why. The problem I had with World War Z, and I could tell why this really had an up and down kind of situation throughout production, is that the story is kind of repetitive in terms of the overall tones of each individual scenario. Now, what I mean by that is that, you know how most zombie films, there's usually 3 certain levels. It's like, okay, in the first half, you establish what the characters are going to do, and then in the second half, they kind of establish, maybe we should stay here, maybe this is where we should hold off, maybe we should try to find help, and then something bad happens, and then we need to try to get out of here and survive to the next day. Well, it doesn't really do that. What this does, it kind of just repeats the same pattern, as in Brad Pitt and whoever he's traveling with have to go to a certain location, and something happens, and then they have to leave. And then they go to a second location where they think they have a clue of where the cure is, or where the infection starts, something happens, and then they have to leave. And then they go to the third place, and they do it again, and it's just, the movie doesn't seem to try to change the tone, or try to do a different scenario differently. They just kind of repeat the same thing in different locations, and make it seem like, oh, well, because it's happening in this location, it's better and different, so it feels like a different tone. But it really doesn't. Now, another problem I have with this film is the zombies. Or, if you want to call them zombies. I personally am not sure if I would call them zombies, because when they bite someone, it's really immediately, and so it kind of takes away that essence of when you get bit by a zombie, you have like maybe, 10 or 30 minutes to make yourself useful before you turn, and I really kind of miss those scenes. But this movie is kind of really fast-paced, and so they really want to speed up that process. And they're all CG, and I think that kind of took me out of the movie. Now, it's something that you can adjust to over time with some viewers, but I personally always prefer to have practical zombies, like the way it was done in the Dawn of the Dead remake. I think having fast zombies is a very scary idea, but when you make them all CG, it kind of just makes you think, well, they're not really in any real danger, because, they're running away from things that aren't there. And so they kind of have to project this emotion that we're really scared because, we're running away from a CG image. Now, it's not to say that CG isn't bad. It's just, over time, it becomes less and less impressive. I mean, you see zombies, go over a bus, you see them pile on top of each other like ants. And these are cool effects, don't get me wrong, but because they're not real, it just didn't work for me. Not saying it was bad, just it didn't work. And I wasn't too fond of the ending. Now, I'm not sure exactly how the ending is comparable to the ending of the book, but it kind of left you like hanging. It's like you wanted a full conclusion. You wanted to walk out of your theater saying, okay, that story was, it came full circle. It had its beginning, it had its middle, and it had its definitive end. But it kind of felt like they sort of left it open for a sequel, which I'm really not sure if I would even want to see a sequel for this, the way they ended it and the way the story was really structured, and kind of how they just kind of repeated the same type of action vibes throughout the whole film. Brad Pitt does a good job of what he's given, but he's Brad Pitt. I don't think he's ever done a really bad job at any of his films, and he does a standalone job. But it's not really an impressive zombie film for me. I think if you're someone who is a big zombie fan, you might find some enjoyment, but if you're looking for a definitive horror movie that you think is going to be like the zombie movie of the year, then I don't think you'll find it here, which is why I'm going to have to give World War Z a C+. There's certainly some moments of enjoyment, but it's not really something you'll be thinking about probably the next day or two. If you like this movie review, please like, comment down below, and please subscribe to check for me and my future movie reviews. And like always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.